Page 12, Surfboarding. This is a lesson on natural accents. I've spoken some about natural accents. Not enough, because they're really important, but it's part of interpreting the music. But we can also use them to help us keep the runs even and smooth. So I'll come back and talk about the natural accents when I get to that part of the lesson. You know, when I learn a new piece of music, I have a system I go through. So natural accents is part of interpretation, so I'll talk about them there. Let's look this over. It's a couple pages long. Treble and bass clef, 1 sharp in the key signature. We're in the key of G major, so go ahead and do the scale for G major and E minor, because it also has 1 sharp, and then do the arpeggios. And for the scales, you should be doing these 2 octaves up and down by now, and the arpeggios, if you know them, do them 2 octaves up and down also. But it's the trill exercise and the tremolo exercise in those videos that I'm after, as well as the accents and working the wrist too. Yeah. 3/4 time signature. Let's take it one hand at a time because we got stuff going on all over everywhere. In the right hand, you're starting up here. Cross hold. These little grace notes, I'll do those later. Those are ornaments, and I do the ornaments when I do the articulation. Right now, I'm leaving them out. And then thumb. We need thumb because of the other notes. Otherwise, you just second finger. But that puts your finger here, and you can do that. It's just more comfortable to use thumb 2, 4. More like a G major scale is all it is. Now the third line down here. Big 2. I don't like doing a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I do a 3, more like a scale. And you can end on 4th finger if you like, because you have a rest to come up for the next one. I use a little finger on that. This is the last line on page 12, first measure. I use a little finger. It's up to you. However, if they want you 3rd finger here, I'll just use 3rd finger. So that doesn't work. I can't do that. So I'm going to come down and reach 3rd finger on this. Just reach down a little bit here. So if I use little finger, then I can do that. I use 3rd finger on the C sharp because I need 4th finger on the D. Whatever other fingering you're using in the measure, it's up to you, but put 4th finger on that last note here. So that way you're in position for this run. Reach up here. So it's, and then 8/8 over it. So you just reach up. And that C sharp, that's still a C sharp. Same fingering, you can use little finger, but 3rd finger, again 3rd finger on the C sharp. Now C natural, they don't need the natural sign. This is page 13, 2nd line, 1st measure. They don't need the natural sign, it's a natural anyway, but you just had a C sharp and they're being cleared. Make sure it's a C natural. And again, now it's a chromatic scale. And you do it all again. The fingering you use for chromatic scale is whatever fingering you're using. There's more than one. The fingering in the book is fine. Use 3 on all these if you want. I typically we use 4th finger on the B flats or A sharps. That's just a habit. It's a different fingering. Whatever. Left hand, you just got the chords. Try to get these notes down at the same time. Watch out, that changed. This is the first line, last measure. It's here, and then an F sharp, and then an A. It changed. When you get down to the 3rd line last measure, the broken chord, the whole chord is that. You can do 2, 3 here for the last line if you want. You want to stay out here, or you can use the 1, 2, whichever. Depends on how big your hands are and fat your fingers. Put the hands together. Well, it starts here, and then here. The idea. You put the hands together, and so far I'm still connecting everything. I'll put in the articulation when I get to the articulation. And once I have all the notes in and rhythms, no hesitations anywhere. I can keep it slow, it's fine, but no hesitations. Then I add the articulation and the grace notes. We're connecting this, of course. And then it's grace notes, people don't agree on how they're interpreted. The point with a grace note is it needs to be a very short note. It's not done rhythmically, it's just a very short note. Sometimes you can crunch them or play them at the same time and release the grace notes. Here, depends on the interpretation. But whatever it is, make it a short note. Whether you play it before the beat or on the beat, that's between you and your teacher. I typically play them on the beat. That's how I was taught, so that's how I do it. Just make sure it's a very short note. You see in the second line, first measure, you have that dotted rhythm. Be careful not to turn these grace notes into a dotted rhythm. Let's hit. That's a dotted rhythm. No, they've got to be very short. There has to be a difference between the grace notes and the dotted rhythm. Now, third line down, last measure, here, I'm hinging at the wrist here very short. And the left hand, I'm connecting it. You get the idea? Page 13, second line. Here, you're up here. Left hand has the E, and then accent. Give it a little extra. And then accent. So forth. So add in the articulation. Then we'll think about the dynamics. P at the beginning, that leggero, that's light and playful. It's more like interpreting it. We're just dealing with the P right now, just soft, piano soft. That's the right hand. The left hand has to be very soft. We want to hear the right. And I'm staying soft pretty much until the third line down, last measure. MF is moderately loud, and that's a forte. That's the right hand. Keep the left hand soft. And you have the hairpins in the last line. You're going to go up to loud and back down. That's loud. And you come back down. So you have to plan that out, or you'll be loud by the third beat. And you're moderately loud there, and page 13, first line, last measure, you're going up to. And you're staying loud. It makes the accent a very loud note. Accent. This is loud here. And you go. And back up now, soft. You're going down. You're getting softer as you're going up. So you're back to soft like you were at the beginning. The left hand just stays out of the way. It's support. It's background singers. It's just doing its thing. As far as the speed goes, it has to be accurate. What can you do with these 16th notes accurately? If that's your accurate, that's close enough. It's a little slow. You want to kind of let it flow, but it's still got to be accurate. Whatever is accurate for you. And then we get into the interpretation. And this is really the subject of this lesson, the natural accents. When you dance to music, you're feeling the natural accents, whether you know it or not. You're actually dancing to the natural accents. And whatever time signature, and each time signature has its own natural accents. But the strongest natural accent there is the first beat of every measure. And 3/4 times the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Other time signatures have their own. I won't get into them now. I'll wait till you have a piece with them in it. However, when you start subdividing beats Every beat gets a natural accent. So we still want to feel the beat. So on these 16th notes, I want to feel a slight beat on the accent on the beat. One. We want to feel that. And this is where doing the scales and all really helps, because when you're accenting that, you're pretending those are natural accents. You're forcing them. But the idea is when you're doing runs and things, if you can feel the beat and feel the natural accents, it will help to keep the run smooth. Take, for instance, on page 13, third line down on the chromatic scale. It's easy to get lost in there. It's just a bunch of notes. But if you'll remember that 1, 2, and exaggerate it if you have to. That's why in the scales and all, when I have you do these things, you're accenting on different fingers at different times, and that helps to develop the control you need to play louds and softs and evenly, both. So just take it. It makes a huge difference. Now, eventually, you just want to feel it. You don't force the natural accents. They're natural. On triplets, if the triplets are triplet eighth notes here, just triple, 1 and 2 and 3. It's the first beat of each triplet. The beat gets the natural accent. When they start adding in accents somewhere else, then you get syncopation. Now, they've added pedal. You don't need pedal on this piece. You do the whole piece just fine. And I certainly hope that you learn it without pedal. Always learn a piece without pedal. But the pedal, we have to be careful. It's going to smear this up. Now, in the first measure, they're just pedaling the first beat. Now, a lot of times, the 3/4 time we do this. We'll pedal the first beat of every measure to reinforce the natural accent. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here, I don't know if that's why they're doing it, or it seems to be the only reason I can see pedaling that is that, or they want to connect the left hand. For the chuck chuck, they want to connect the left hand. Then they're pedaling for that. Please try and figure out why it's pedaling. What's the pedal doing to the sound that we want to? You just don't arbitrarily pedal. So here at the beginning, I push the notes down first and then the pedal. Here, going from the second measure to the third measure, you got to change the pedal because it's down, change it. But they don't pedal here. They don't connect that. I don't understand why not. I mean, if you're not going to connect that, why are we connecting it in the second measure here? What's the point? To me, that's inconsistent. So in my mind, I think I would pretty much pedal this more just on the first beat of the measure to reinforce the natural accent. That's all. And then the third line down, last is. You don't pedal that, of course. It's got to be light. Leggero, that's light. On page 13, second line, we're pedaling this here. We want the overtones on these loud notes. We want to let them sound. Here. The ritardando there in the third line here. And then take off again. All tempo means resume whatever you were doing before you slowed down. So in my opinion, I think I would just pedal the first beat of each measure, except when you get over to the second line on page 13, we're pedaling the loud stuff and give it overtones, like pedal it like it's shown in the second line. Yeah.